Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my September book haul. This book haul is actually a lot smaller than I anticipated. It's still about average size. I got 17 books this month, but when I went to DragonCon, I thought I would buy a lot more books than this, and I was responsible. Not as responsible as I could have been, but I was more responsible than I'm usually at a convention, so I didn't get too many books. But I'm really excited about the books I did get because I got a lot. I have 5 books that were given to me, and then I have from either publishers or from an author, and then I have I think 12 books that I purchased myself. So let's start with one of the books. So some of these books were from DragonCon specifically, and some of them were purchased just my local bookstores. So one of the ones I purchased at DragonCon was Sands of Dune, which is a short story collection by Brian Herbert, Kevin J. Anderson. I love all of their Dune books, and I'm hopeful that I will enjoy them in short fiction form. It is only, and I did get it signed by Kevin when I was at DragonCon. And speaking of Kevin J. Anderson, you can see my interview with him on the channel. Just look up interview with Kevin J. Anderson, DragonCon, Jonathan Cohn, and you'll find it. And so I'm really excited to read this. It's really short. It's only I think 150 pages, so should read it in a day. I also purchased, this one was not at DragonCon, this was just at my local bookstore. I found James J. Butcher's Dead Man's Hand, which is the first book in his Unorthodox Chronicles. There are 2 books out in this series, and the 3rd book comes out next year. And this is funny because James J. Butcher was at DragonCon, and I saw him on a panel, the What's Up with Penguin Publishing panel, which you can find on the channel. I did a video talking about it. And so I heard about this series and stuff, but I hadn't purchased it because I didn't want to buy a new copy of this, because just because, I wasn't the most interested in it. I was just casually interested. And then I saw a used copy for a reasonable amount of money at my local bookstore, and I was like, hey, nice. Wonderful. So I picked it up. So I got this one. So if James J. Butcher comes and does a signing at next year's DragonCon, I got a book for him. Let's see. I also picked up this book I purchased. I already have a copy of it, but I like to collect these. And so I got Vision of the Future by Timothy Zahn. I already have this book in mass market paperback, but I saw the hardcover, again, for a very reasonable price at my local bookstore. And I love Timothy Zahn that much. I love his Star Wars books. I love the Hand of Thrawn duology. Controversially, it's my favorite Star Wars series is the Hand of Thrawn duology, but I love this book and this duology, and one day I'm going to reread it and have a blast again. So I got this in hardcover, which is pretty nice. It's a pretty decent size, pretty hefty hardcover. And this is, by word count, the longest Star Wars novel written. People argue with me online about this, but by word count, this is the longest. The number 1 longest is this one. The number 2 longest is Star by Star. And the number 3 longest is Lesser Evil. But Lesser Evil and Star by Star are still pretty close together. But this one, by a sizable margin, is the longest Star Wars novel ever written. Just the hardcover alone is like over 500 pages. The mass market, I think, is close to 700 or 800. So it's a pretty hefty book for Star Wars. All right, then I also purchased another Star Wars book, one that was not already on my shelves, Millennium Falcon, which is a standalone by James Luceno. This book I purchased at my local bookstore because I'm trying to collect all the EU books, and I'm getting real close to owning at least 1 copy of all of them. And this was one of the ones I needed to buy and read. And so, I really don't know about this one. I don't hear it talked about. It's not one of his most revered books like Plagueis or Tarkin or Catalyst, although Tarkin's not his revered book, it's his controversial book. But anyway, it's not one of his revered books, and it's not one of his New Jedi Order books. It's one of those books that's kind of just, oh yeah, he wrote that. So I'm excited to read it, and maybe it'll be a favorite. I don't know. I think that might be the only James Luceno book I haven't read. I'll have to look back at his catalog. Anyway, I also purchased a Star Trek book, and that was Star Trek Q&A by Keith DeCandido. I saw him at DragonCon, and he was kind enough to sign my book. Keith actually recognized me at DragonCon, which was very nice of him, and we talked, and he said he likes my thumbnails for my videos, thinks that me holding a bunch of books going, oh, is really cool. But this is one of the Star Trek books that's part of the post-Nemesis universe, and I purchased it. It's in trade, which I don't love because my others in this series are mass market, but it's fine. I will read it and hopefully enjoy it. Let's see, what else did I purchase this month? I also purchased Rich Man's Sky. I had the books 2 and 3 in this series, but I did not have the first one, and I do not like this cover at all, even though it's by my favorite living cover artist, Dave Seeley. I love you, Dave Seeley. This one was not it. But I do want to read Will McCarthy's books, so maybe I'll take the jacket off. Anyway, what else? I also purchased The Founder Effect, which is a short story collection. It's got short story. It's edited by Robert Hampson and Sandra Medlock, but it's got stories from Jody Lynn Nye, Les Johnson, G.J. Butler, David Weber, Mark Wandry. I got this actually when Mona Lisa Foster was at the Bain table, and I purchased it so that she could sign it for me, and I will next time get Robert Hampson and others to sign it as well. I also purchased The Road to Hell. Oh, wait, I need to keep because whenever I talk about the Hellhole trilogy, I always call it Heckhole. So it's The Road to Heck by David Weber and Joel Presby. And love both Weber and Presby. And this book is a beefy one, and it's part of his multiverse series that he's doing. And I'm wanting to read this, and I'm a big fan of both Weber and Presby, and I did get it signed while at DragonCon. Actually, I got it signed by Weber on that page, and by Miss Presby on that page, which was very nice of them. So, I also purchased, this is probably the series I'm most excited about that I purchased, and that is Timothy Zahn's Cobra Rebellion trilogy. Funnily enough, I have the first Cobra series, it's just called the Cobra Trilogy, in mass market paperback. And then I have the second trilogy, which is the Cobra War Trilogy. I have that in like an omnibus edition that I plan to read next year. But I cannot find the Cobra Rebellion books anywhere. So I purchased book 1, which is Cobra Slave, book 2, which is Cobra Outlaw, and book 3, which is Cobra Trader. And by the way, these are Dave Seeley books that I love the covers on these. I love these covers. I think these are great. But this trilogy, I love the Cobra series, and I love Timothy Zahn, and I'm not going to show you all of them, but he did also sign for me, which was very nice. So that is the Cobra Rebellion trilogy. The last book that I purchased was a book that is very controversial, but I'm intrigued by it, and that is Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. It's got some sticky and sticker stuff. I didn't buy it from Target. I bought it from a local used bookstore, but it's interesting. I listened to part of it when I was driving recently. He's got interesting ideas. I don't agree with him on everything, but he's an interesting guy, so that one should be fun. Now for the books I was given. Now there was 4 books from a publisher and 1 book from an author. And when I was at DragonCon, I met this author, and he gave me a copy of the book, and I actually got to hang out with him for a while. And it was because he and I have a mutual friend. And this author was just the nicest guy to meet, and that is David T. List. And I talk about him in my DragonCon vlog that I did, and he was just delightful to meet, and he was so much fun, and I loved hanging out with him. And he gave me a copy of his book, Violence and Vigilance, which is a big epic fantasy. I think it's considered a grimdark book, and it is kind of self-publishing type thing. And David told me, don't worry about when you get to it. Just get to it when you have a chance. So I do intend to read it eventually. But we had great discussions. And I'm actually really looking forward to reading this book eventually. I was actually watching a BookTube video recently, and I saw someone have this book on their shelves. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I just learned about this book recently, and now I'm seeing it on shelves. So that's really cool. All right, what about the other books I was given this month? Well, Bain sent me a few of theirs. They sent me the new 1638 mass market paperback, The Sovereign States, by Eric Flint, George Huff, and Paula Goodlett. And this book was actually nominated. It didn't win, but it was nominated for a Dragon Award. They also sent me their new short story collection, Tomorrow's Troopers, edited by Hank Davis and David F. Shirod. I would like to point out, Brandon Sanderson has a story in this collection. Yes, Brandon Sanderson has a story in this collection. I did not know that was coming. And Christopher Rocchio, too. So I saw that on here, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm really excited. So this one might bump up on my list, because I'm really excited, because this looks like a lot of fun. I love how Bain, with some of their military science fiction stuff, they'll figure out a way to put the logo of the company somewhere on the picture. I just think it's funny. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then they sent me Wen Spencer's Storm Furies, which is a pretty nice cover, pretty nice yellow design. I like that. And the book I'm very excited to read eventually, a book about the fall of the Roman Empire, and that is To Turn the Tide by S.M. Sterling. It's the first book in a new series from him. It is like a apocalyptic war book that also has time travel that sends them back to ancient Rome, and that just is my jam. I'm so down for this book. I cannot wait to read it. And it's a beautiful cover. Who did the cover design? Sam Kennedy did the cover. Sam is a great cover artist, and he got robbed this year. He and Jeff Brown went at the Dragon Awards. They were both up for the best cover art, and one of them should have won because they had the number 1 and number 2 best cover art, and they were both robbed because someone else got it, which in my opinion was not as worthy. But this one is a pretty good cover. So those are all the books that I purchased or received in the month of September, and one of them is a duplicate. So I'm actually, it's only 16 if you think about it, and one of them is nonfiction. So I think, that's a responsible, it's a little bit more than I'm bringing in each month, reading each month, but, it's not crazy like 30 like I've had some months. So if you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, or if you're interested in them, or if you just want to yell at me because I got 12 Rules for Life. Let me know all those thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.